Ecotheology is an ideology and interpretative approach to religion which sees a sacredness to animals, people, and protecting the environment. It thus combines the study of life and the environment, ecology, with the study of God and systems of belief, theology, which is where the name comes from. Ecotheology is not specific to any religion. In this video, I will explain how it works and where it comes from, why it can be useful, and what some of the criticisms of it are. But first, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. On we go. Ecotheology is primarily an interpretative approach to religion, meaning that it reframes religions and the texts they rely on from the perspective of environmental protection. In my video on liberation theology, for which I'll leave a link in the video description below, this means viewing religious texts from the perspective of the poor and marginalised in society. Similarly, ecotheology interprets religious texts from the perspective of the situation of the earth and our relationship with it, or ecology. For example, in Genesis 1:28, God gives humans dominion over the earth. The classical interpretation of this argues that this means the earth and the animals on it are ours as humans to do whatever we want with. Ecotheologists, however, argue that this interpretation of our domination over the earth is a poor one because of how it has led to climate change and extinction. Instead, an interpretation hinting at a more equal relationship would make us more likely to protect the earth and thus fulfill ecological aims. A better word might thus be dominion with the earth, or stewardship over it, where there is still a kind of equality between us and the environment around us. In other words, dominion can still be used, but not if it means domination. Another example of this reinterpretative technique is in the added emphasis an ecotheologist might give Psalm 24:1. In this passage, it is declared that the earth is God's and everything in it his. The whole of creation is thus God's, so a logical conclusion to this passage is the idea that destroying the earth through climate change is not what God would want. Ecotheology is arguably useful because of the way it inspires religious people as well as the wider community. Through its placing of ecology into a biblical sphere, it instills within religious people, who still make up a majority of the world's population, a need to protect animals, nature, and ourselves. For example, returning to Psalm 24:1, if the world is God's, making a species extinct is surely robbing God of some of his creation, and thus something to avoid. This is especially useful in the light of climate change and the need to respond quickly and efficiently to it. Ecotheology may also be important because science and education might not be able to inspire people as much as religion can, because they are too narrow and rational, arguably. Some of the most impactful efforts of conservation have come not from the sort of rational self-interest that science supports, but from a deep feeling that, quote, the value of these resources is a sacred religious and cultural value. When it comes to criticisms of ecotheology, it is broadly seen as a good thing because it is something contributing to the fight against climate change. However, similarly to critiques of liberation theology, some might argue that ecotheology represents a distortion of religious ideas and texts. The texts and ideas along this line of argument are being bent to serve the purposes of politicians and political ideas. Religions, as opposed to being unchanging, eternal sets of ideas, are being made to fit modern trends, and the core messages of certain texts radically changed. For many, however, ecotheology does not represent a distortion of religion, but a natural progression of it as it responds to real-world concerns today. What is the point in sticking obstinately to the notion that the earth is ours to plunder, that being the traditional interpretation of many biblical passages, if it means we will soon have no earth for ourselves? How will we be able to worship when there is no earth to worship on? That's ecotheology. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.